see if we can do a nice little video capture this sunset. It's beautiful. What was it? I wanted to talk about market position. There's a local guy that I've worked with. He's been very helpful to me. I've done my best to really give him favor and help him out. And right now he's in a jam because he's the only guy that does what he does in town. That's like a shop. I'm sure there's people that do it out of their house, but I don't know who they are. But so anyways, it's mostly DJ and PA stuff. And he had me doing some PA stuff for him, and the company, basically that's the only parts distributor in America, is MWA, making waves down in Vail, Tucson. I think they got annexed into Tucson. So, but and the problem with Dave and the crew down there is that they don't really take an active role in providing solutions. They just sort of, I don't want to call them lazy, but they could take a more active role and in cataloging and being specific. The problem is they have a monopoly. So the care factor seems to go down. So now I learned reconing from Ted Turner, not that Ted Turner, Ted Turner of SpeakerWorks, which was speakerworks.com. Ted was the son-in-law to the owner, Carl. He married his daughter, and they live out there in, last time I checked, Arcadia. But anyways, I learned from Ted, and Ted taught me a couple things about MWA. And one is that you never make a return to MWA. And what's funny is I've sent people their way, and MWA has turned them down. They only want to deal with the distributors now, so they only want to be a wholesaler, which I thought was interesting, and I don't blame them, because dealing with an end user is quite difficult. That's why I don't typically like to do it, especially in PA. And what's funny, there was a lady that did recons down there. I apologize, I forgot her name. I didn't really work with her, but she said the same thing about car audio guys. The car audio guys are terrible, and then they abuse their woofers. And I was like, well, really, just there's a whole bunch of users that just misuse their equipment and then blame it on the reconer, and then sometimes they blame it on, the quality of parts, even though, if you get into it deep enough, you realize that there's no difference in quality of parts. The coil either works or it doesn't. The spider is either stiff, too stiff, and it either works or it doesn't. So, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't play. It doesn't do its job. So it's kind of a 1 or a 0. Let's see if we can park here by the Dun-Duns. Maybe we can get a view of the sunset. Not really. Fucking buildings. I'm trying to capture nature. So we'll just get a look at the Nazi bank here. So, oh yeah, just so you know, Chase Brothers and JP Morgan, they are Nazi, not even Nazi sympathizers. They were Nazi supporters. They financed and consulted. So, but they financed and consulted both sides. So whatever. So they're just bankers. Anyways, So my friend is in that, and he's like, hey, my reconer quit or whatever, had to move, and he's like, can you recon some of these PA stuff? And I was like, yeah, sure. The problem is that he got the parts from MWA, and so when you get parts from MWA, they may not be what you had last time, because again, they're doing their best. Could they stock more stuff? Could they pay more attention? Yes, but they have like probably 3,000 SKUs. They just have that many different parts, and it's difficult to keep up with them. So, and these users, they are so, what's the word? I want to say nostalgic, but they have a fantasy about American-made stuff. They also have a fantasy about, the way things used to be in the 80s. in the 90s. And it used to be worth reconing, and it's not worth reconing anymore. For the price of a recone, again, to pay, even a imported worker, I'll say that, cheap, even on an H1 visa or just some dude across the border, it's expensive. You got to pay that guy $15, $20, $30 an hour to do good work. And you go, well, that's not too bad. Well, the problem is there's overhead and there's a bunch of other costs and things like that. So a recone ends up costing, last time I checked, and this was 6 years ago, right there at Field Services in Phoenix, 18 was like $180. And I can sell somebody a new Chinese woofer with a cast frame, this is PA, for $180, $200. And so a lot of times what I would do to start getting into the PA market was just saying, hey, look, for 20 bucks more, you don't have to wait. And so what ends up happening is you end up introducing your product into the market. And so then when they kill it, again, you charge them the cost of a recone, but you just give them a new one off the shelf. And this helps you service customers faster. It ends up helping you make more money. And it also helps them keep their downtimes to a minimum. Some people, though, have a hard time with buying stuff from China. They go, oh, it's not as good. And it is just as good. It's fine. You got to make sure that you buy the right part. So I delivered some parts down there. And the problem is that 2 of the recones were from the same, or actually there's 4 15s that I got. 2 of them I completed, but the dust caps that I got from MWA were not the right size. They were too small. So I substituted a part that looked very similar. I thought it actually improved it. The other thing was that I swapped out the cones, because the cones that I got from MWA were not doped. And it looks better. The cone is stronger when it's doped. I have fucking pallets of them from the buyouts. And so I was like, I'll just swap it out and I'll just use the better cone anyway. So I did that, delivered, and he got mad that I made the substitutions. He's like, you don't understand. These guys really want it to sound the same. And I'm like, they're not going to sound the same, because they don't even have the same drivers. Like, what's funny is a lot of the drivers that he delivered, like, for a while they were made by Peerless, and another time they were made by Eminence, and then like somebody started their own brand but was sourcing it at Eminence. And again, a lot of these look very similar, but they're not the same. And when somebody has that expectation that they're like, again, they want it to sound like it used to be, they want it to be like the 90s when they were doing all that cocaine and they had all that money, and then things are just not the same. And a lot of times it's easier just to pivot than it is to try to make these guys happy. And so my friend down there, we got in a little bit of an argument because he was mad that they didn't look the way that he wanted, which was what the customer wanted. And I immediately told him, and I was not angry or anything like that. I was just sort of stupid thing. Focus down there. There we go. Sorry about that. The thing was, I told him, I said, you can't let the customer tell you what to do. Now, a lot of you guys are customers, and you go, well, customer's always right. No, not in this instance. Customer's dumb. And the customer doesn't know what he really wants. And also the customer doesn't know what's really available. So I remember one time when Ted Turner of Speakerworks was teaching me about reconing, and I watched him handle a customer with this same situation, a similar situation where, he wanted this, and it was a minor detail that doesn't affect the sound. And Ted goes, well, he goes, I'm pretty much the best guy in town, and this is the best I can do, and if you don't like it, you're more than welcome to find somebody else, which is a nice way of telling him to fuck off. And he left a little gruff, but he paid. And but Ted was charging him like $300 for a recon. I was like, go for it, man. Like, I thought that was pretty, wow, like amazing. But he's like, I think he stuck to only those guys and those clients. So, but my friend, again, I told him, I said, you can't let customers tell you what to do, especially in this field. I said, they're gonna break you, And they don't care if you go out of business or if they, if you take a loss on something. They don't care. There's a lot of customers that don't really care about you. They just care about their product, and they just want their product the way that it was, and that's the end of it. And again, you cannot let people like that make your business decisions. So when you're doing this, be aware that there's going to be some buttholes like that. Now, I know there's a lot of you guys going, no, the customer wants what the customer wants. And Patrick, you're wrong. You need to give them. And that's why I turn a lot of people away. That's why I say, hey, maybe this place isn't for you. Hey, maybe, maybe you'd be better off somewhere else. And I tell you what, there's been so many people so pissed off at me when all I did was it's not that I rejected them. I just turned them away. I said, because then they get mad. They go, you need to take my money. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't need to take your money because it costs too much. And the reason why it costs too much is because your expectations are too high. And they don't think that their expectations are too high. And a lot of times the people like that are just, they're generally emotional. They don't, they're not aware or objective about what they're really wanting. And so, and sometimes it leads into other stuff. And so that's when you find people with like lots of tattoos and they have a drinking problem or a pill problem and things like that. It ends up being the self-pity that's really the dangerous part. And nobody's ever called them out on it, or they lack a support group of people that are willing to tell them the truth about their behavior and about what's right and wrong. So, but I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was interesting, and then I was kind of inspired because the sky was so beautiful, and I was like, the end moral of that I pull from that story is that life is not as bad as you make it out to be. It doesn't have to be at all, and all it requires is just a simple skew, a little ding, a little change in your attitude. If you just simply are grateful for being here, we still got clean air, man. If you're watching some sci-fi in the future where it's like we got dirty air and poison everywhere, like be glad that you're alive now and not later. So and then of course I always go back to the reference, which of course is Road Warrior and then Thunderdome, and that what it does is those movies give me a real perspective on life is valuable, things are valuable, and things are rare and amazing, and it's really important to appreciate them now while you still have them, because you never know when you're not going to have them. So and I can hear people arguing. They're like, well, that's not right now, Patrick. Right now we have plenty of everything. And I go, yeah, but you don't have to live that way. So just like when I see people speeding on the freeway or whatever and zooming around me because I'm driving like an old lady or whatever, and it's like, dude, you're burning fuel. You don't need to be burning fuel. You're endangering people. Also it's illegal what you're doing, and if there was a cop around, I'm sure there's 20 people that witnessed you weaving in and out of traffic that would wish you a fiery death, and or even just a cop to pull you over. So again, you got to consider what you're doing in life, and you got to consider what you're demanding on yourself and other people. And I think the biggest thing is just chill the fuck out. I don't really care that people drink or do drugs. It's when you make it your lifestyle and you're driving around like that. Like, do it at home, do it when you're chill. That's fine. I have no problems with that. Absolutely. I don't care if you are fucking dead bodies. I don't care if you're fucking llamas. I don't care if you fuck your mom. I don't care about any of that shit. That's in your house. That's your business. But when you bring it out on the streets, or you bring it into my place, and you got weird face tattoos, I'll do my best to be respectful and sort of not judge you, but inside I'm definitely judging you, but I'm gonna give you enough rope to hang yourself. And then when you do, so that was like that guy the other day, his name is Sonny, by the way, and I posted his real picture on the thumbnail that left the two Vato Extreme 15s with me. So he just and I got a lot of feedback from you guys about that, and his demands were too high, and he was basically throwing a tantrum. And I don't know. I don't even want to have a judgment on that. That's just his choice, and I leave it up to him. And Now, when you get into things like, well, if that's your relative, or that guy's taking care of your daughter, or or things like that, then it can get weird. So, but I'll share this last little story revelation that I got the other day, which was that I was thinking about my niece, Everly, and about my concerns with her care and the people that are in care of her, which is her mother and her older sister. So, and what those people don't understand is that they don't love her unconditionally. They only love her under the condition that she's loyal. And I realize now that that's the hierarchy that my father-in-law created. And a lot of it, some of it may have to do with Semper Fi. Some of it was just maybe like his ego and things like that. But in his family and his chain of command and his world, loyalty was more important than doing the right thing. And that's fine until something comes up that contradicts that. So, and of course, what was the name of the movie with Colonel Jessup and Tommy Cruise? You can't handle the truth.
Just had it.
Red Line.
A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. So, if you watch A Few Good Men, and the takeaway from that, of course, is that that's the conflict. Are you loyal so that you can defend your country? And when you look at it objectively, you can see that Colonel Jessup, played by Jack Nicholson, that's a form of self-pity. He feels sorry for himself because he's sacrificing all this stuff, and he feels like he should be above the law. And that's not how it works. 2 people died. Of course, these are characters. These aren't real people. But lots of people die because of shit decisions like that. And then they go, well, the military is becoming more weak. And it's like, yeah, because people sue. And things need to change. Things don't have to be that way. So the past is not as good as you think it was. So, and then you go, wow, there's all kinds of weird hippies now. Well, again, that might be part of the transition. You don't know. These whittling, banjo playing, pig lard using, shaving type of hipsters might turn out to be some pretty great people. I know that when I was young, they actually made movies about us saying Gen X is a bunch of weirdos and they're slackers. There's a famous movie called Slackers, or Slacker, I think it is. And it was because, we lived in some bounty. In the 80s and 90s, there was the economy was much better. There was a lot more money. There was a lot more, just everything. And so it sort of gave us a late bloom in that we didn't have to be responsible until, you start having kids and you get all the party out of your system and all that kind of stuff. So, and guess what? We turned out to be pretty fucking rad. So I still have faith in millennials. I still have faith in Gen Z and all that kind of stuff. It's just sort of nature. Sometimes when you delay the bloom of a plant, the bloom still happens. It's just the timing isn't on your schedule. And so I think we all bloom as adults and become responsible whether we like it or not. So, but I think that was it. I just wanted to share some of those thoughts with you. Basically a Sunday sermon, but today is Saturday, so that it's a Saturday sermon. It's a Shabbat. It's the Jewish one. So there you go. Also watch, was it Moorish Lighthouse? Jalal Bey, I think his name is. He's now going to be the top link in my description because his work is so important to you guys, and so important to freedom, is so important to everything. And it's important that we raise our consciousness and understand that the system has taken advantage of the slackers, has taken advantage of Gen X, or of millennials and Gen Z. It's taking advantage of people that don't know that they're caught in a trap, that they're in the system. And so it's important to at least know, right? And then what happens is, if you at least know, like let's say you're stuck in Auschwitz or something like that, if you even at least know, then when something happens, you know that it's time to take advantage of that situation. And that leads to your escape, and that leads to your freedom and things like that. So, but if you're just a big dum-dum that's feeling sorry for themselves in, a work camp, you're a loser. You're going to die anyway. And so you just kind of think, oh, poor me. Why should I even bother? Why should I even get up? And it's like, when you do that, you lose hope, and that's how you die. And your body responds to that. Your health grows poor. You lose all kinds of muscle mass. It's all the mind game. It's all in the mind. Anyways, I love you guys. I will talk to you later. I have a lot of stuff on my mind, but I want to focus it on basically for lack of martial arts and my other arts, which is the speaker arts, the sound arts, the electronic arts. I gotta go grab some money, and then I'm gonna go home and work, and I got some reviews I'm doing on some recoil components. We got the new recoil components in. I think it's called SPM and SPX, I believe. And you can see them on the edgeholdings.com website. I don't think they're posted on the regular website, the Recoil website, but we'll check it out. Anyways, I love you guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.